YB stays on your neck.
Yo, my dance, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. So as you've all heard by now, Joseph the Pussy Parker has pulled out of the Derek Chisora fight because of an illness. Now, I hate to say I tried to tell you, like, listen, I was the one telling everyone, this guy don't want it. He was in there in the face-to-face, the gloves are off, and his ankles were shackling. He gives it, this is what he does, and to be fair, I've got to give Chisora his credit. Chisora, not only the YB, Chisora tried to tell you himself, when Parker don't want to get stuck in. He don't ever want to get stuck in when he gets to, I'm not even saying that Chisora is the big leagues, but it's not about whether Chisora is an all-time great fighter, it's about the mentality. Chisora put Parker in a position where he felt vulnerable, because he's thinking to himself now, you know what? One thing I do know is, Chisora might not be the best fighter, but I know I'm going to have to knock him out, like Dillian White did. That's what you're going to have to do. Otherwise, he's going to be all over me. We've seen Parker in there with lesser men, aka Alex Leopai. Alex Leopai doesn't have the defense of Chisora. He doesn't have the offense of Chisora. He was a heavy bag in there, just taking shots, and it took Parker 10 rounds, and still Leopai finished on his feet. So with that in mind, Parker's thinking, wait there, I'm fighting a much better version than Leopai. How the hell am I going to stop him? And scarily enough, he'd just watched, I spoke to people within Joseph Parker's team, he'd just watched Errol Spence versus Sean Porter, and he's thinking, wait there a minute, what kind of fighters like Sean Porter? Oh, I know, Derek Chisora. And that's giving him nightmares. It's all over him. This dude's had deep nightmares, deep distress. And that's why he's found his way out of this fight. Been the low illusions now. There was many people telling me, oh mate, good day mate, Joseph Parker's going to knock Chisora out mate, oh YB mate, you're wrong mate. They're giving it all that business, but where's your boy at? Illness. Pulls out because of illness. Come on, you got to do a bit better than that. And this for me, like I say, it just shouts, it screams, I'm shook. I'm shook because it's one thing, like in terms of psychology wise, it's one thing to lose to AJ. And I'm not being funny, but I'm not the first person to say this. I can't remember who else said it. It might have been Chisora a while ago, but someone else said it. It might be Chisora, but I'm sure there's someone else. But basically, Parker's been known as a man who he does bottle it. He is known to bottle it when it comes to the big stage. He doesn't give his best. Even look at the Andy Ruiz fight. If you think that's a man giving his best and leaving it all out there, then that's your business. He's renowned for turning up and just kind of doing enough to lose well. Oh, that's who it was. Who was it who mugged it might have been Tyson Fury who said it. Because Tyson Fury mugged off David Haye. When David Haye fought when Big Toe fought Klitschko, Tyson Fury said that was a classic actually. It was when David Haye and Tyson Fury were going to fight and they were doing like a sit down thing. That was an actual classic. Anyone who hasn't seen that, you've got to watch that. And essentially Tyson Fury told him, listen, you jacked it against Vlad. You bottled it. Oh, yes, David Haye, you bottled it. Oh, you jacked against... he said, you jacked against Klitschko. You jacked against... was it Thompson? Yeah, you jacked against Thompson. You jacked against Klitschko, and you're going to jack against me. That's what he said. And rightly so, because Haye's another one. Haye and Parker, they're two of the same cloth. They don't. When it comes to the big league, they'd rather kind of lose on points than they would get stuck in. And that's not to say that, look, listen, Fury goes life and death anyway. But I'm just saying, at least Fury, to his credit, even if he is shot now, we have to give him credit because he could have been shot and thought, you know what, I'm just going to check out. He did get to Fury's credit, even being shot, he did give it all, even though his all was didn't have a lot left essentially. But anyway, like I said, listen, for me, this certifies Parker as what I thought he is. Now, as I said this before, listen, Parker's a bigger man than me. He has bigger balls than me, 100%. He's a harder man than me. He's a more ferocious man than me. No problem admitting that, no problem at all. That said, when it comes to fighters, he is a bottle job. That's it. Oh, I'm pulling out because I'm ill. Come on, man. We heard what Chisora was telling you in there, and you're thinking to yourself now, and he said it, Parker gave it away, essentially. He said, oh, I know if I lose to Chisora, it's over for me. Now, you know that's not a good mindset to be having. When you're going into a fight and you're thinking to yourself, if I lose to this man, it's over for me. Do you think Parker really wants to be in that kind of ultimatum, especially knowing the kind of form that Chisora's in? Just knocked out bearing in mind, Wilder's, oh yeah, man, Wilder, he's the hardest punching heavyweight in the whole, since George Foreman. He'd knock George Foreman out. He'd knock Mike Tyson out. So wait there a minute. Deontay Wilder, it took the biggest puncher in the universe, it took Thor himself 10 rounds to knock out the Spilker guy. Chisora comes in there, gives him some good British lefts and rights, and that's it, he's done. He's spent within 1 round. So with that in mind, it took the biggest puncher in the universe 10 rounds, Chisora 1 round. That's the only maths that Parker needs to work out there. He's thinking to himself, wait there a minute, this Chisora, he's having a second win in his career. Do I really want this? Because, look, put it this way, Dillian White was bad enough, but I'm not being funny. The evidence is there. Chisora was actually beating Dillian White on points, by the way. And we know what Dillian White did to Parker. Apart from his wheels falling off, but in terms of the actual boxing, he got his head boxed off. He got put on, oh yeah, my chin, mate. Oh, Joshua's chinny, mate. Joshua's so chinny, mate, but I got put down by Dillian White, mate. Oh yeah, mate. Joshua, mate, he's chinny, mate. Giving all that business. You know what? You know Parker loves to talk about people's chin and whatnot. And he's the one who gets put down. Simple as that. He's the one who gets beat on points. But yeah, listen. He knows he lost to AJ. He can deal with that. Unified world champion. He lost to Dillian White. He can deal with that. He could not deal with fighting Chisora. Now, I may be wrong. If it turns out that he accepts the rematch, then, or that he tries to set up at a later date, then I'll eat crow then. But for me, the way this has been dropped, oh, he's ill. Illness don't do it for me, man. You've got to have, to be pulled out of a fight, you've got to have something substantial, especially when you're the A side. And that's the thing. Parker's, he don't like the pressure of it. He don't like the pressure because Chisora is a very hard man to beat. As look at Dillian White fight. Dillian White was losing until the referees kind of started doing some dodgy stuff. That's the truth of it. Chisora was up on points even after having, I believe, even after having the points taken away, he was still up. And that's what's important there. And it was Dillian White's card. So that shows you how on it Chisora was. And Chisora knows now, if he can compete with Dillian White, he knows he can compete with Joseph Parker. So, and in my opinion, Dillian White's got more power and more skill than Parker. Maybe not as much speed, but the speed, he doesn't really use it. He's too apprehensive when he gets in there with a fight that means something. Or even if he doesn't, like I said, he was in there with Leopold and couldn't hurt him. Anyway, let me read the article out. It says, Joseph Parker pulls out of Derek Chisora fight because of illness. No, because he's shook of losing. He's shook of losing, and he's shook of his career being finished. And I don't blame him for that, because his career literally would be finished at that point. He will be a bona fide, not even a gatekeeper. People call Chisora a gatekeeper. So if you lose to Chisora, actually no, I'm not going to say that, because Chisora's actually, like I said, he's having a second wind in his career. I don't see him as a good doorkeeper anymore. He's a solid competitor now. I'd put him in there with Wilder now, no problem. I reckon I'll bet my life on this. I'd love to see Chisora versus Luis Ortiz. I'd love to see. I reckon Chisora would do Ortiz in my opinion, but that's a fight I want to see. Why is Ortiz always fighting these bums? Why has he not fought no middleman? They're the fights we need to see. I want to see Wilder versus Chisora as well whilst we're at it. Where's that fight at? Oh man, I'm going to fight a man I've knocked out already. It's a shocker. Anyway, the article goes on to say, former world heavyweight champion Joseph Parker has been ruled out of his fight with Derek Chisora because of illness, says Eddie Hearn. The New Zealander 27 and Britain's Chisora were due to meet on the 26th of October. See, that seems dodgy to me as well. Wait there a minute. Come on, man. This is the proof for me that Parker's bottled it and he's not ill. Because I'm thinking, you weren't due to fight until the 22nd. So you've got 24 days. And you best believe, whilst it's only come out today, I bet Eddie Hearn's knew for a few days. So let's call it how many weeks? Yeah, 4 weeks, the best part of 4 weeks. So you're saying you're not well enough to compete 4 weeks before you're due to compete. Now, fair enough. If it's a few days before, even a week before, and you're not feeling right, then that's different. But how do you know you're not feeling right 4 weeks before? Oh, I'm ill, even though the fight's 4 weeks away. That tells me you've bottled it psychologically. In fact, I've spoken to people in the camp that have told me, listen, YB, we've called it an illness. What we mean to say is he's psychologically broken, which is also an illness, to be fair. He's mentally ill. That's what it is. Yeah? I know there's going to be a lot of people sour hearing this, but what do you want me to say? Chisora didn't pull out. Parker talked a good gig. Yeah, I'm going to hit your lots. See, that's what he said. Good day, mate. I'm going to hit your lots. Chisora said, you better be prepared to throw a lot of leather. And then Parker was talking about, yeah, mate, I'm going to hit you with a lot of leather, mate. Where's that leather at? Too busy being ill. 4 weeks before the fight. I'd love to know, like I said, well, any Parker fan out there, please explain to me how you can be ill, unless you've got like some terminal thing going on. But for me, if that's the case, you need to let people know, oh, I'm ill. That don't cut it for me at this level. At this level, after the issue you've talked, at this kind of crossroads in your career, you need to do a bit better for your fans than I'm ill. Yeah? We need to know a diagnosis. We need to know what's what. Because that don't, for me, it just sounds like you've jacked it. And that's what I believe it is anyway. That's what my sources tell me. So anyway, it says here, we're working on a suitable replacement and we'll make a further announcement this week. Wow. So they've given absolutely no details, which tells me that they've just bottled it. I'm sorry. I can't wait to hear what you Joseph Parker fans have got to say, but this is a categorical bottle job. And I called it, I hate to say I told you so. I said, listen, don't be surprised if this man bottles it. Did I not say that? And everyone was saying, oh, YB, you're being out of, oh, good day, mate. Oh, you're being out of order, mate. Oh, kangaroo, mate. Dengo koala. That's what you were giving all that one. Trying to make out I was the one who's out of order. He bottles it. That's what he does. He jacks. He knew Chisora was going to be breathing. You know when someone's got hot breath? Chisora was going to be breathing dragon breath all over him. And he didn't want it. That's it. Never mind a week before. This is how shook he was. He's decided 4 weeks before that he don't want none of it. That tells you that it was playing in his head. Chisora's words were playing in his head. Because if they weren't, he'd have rocked up and got in there, no problem. But he hasn't. How long did it take? It literally only took about 10 days. It took him 10 days of sleepless nights after the gloves were off for him to realise, I don't want none of this. No, thank you. Let me go and fight an Aussie bum or a New Zealander bum. That's what he wants to do. He wants to drag up another Alex Leopold, one of them ones there where he can go in there and look great. That's what he'll do. I wouldn't be surprised if he fights on October 26th again. The minute Chisora's got another opponent dragged in there, that Joseph Parker will be like, oh yes, I'm back to fight. Good day, mate. Oh, Joshua's chin, mate. Joshua's chin, mate. That's what they'll be talking again, giving it all that good talk. We want to see the action. Parker did not want to deliver the action. He talked the talk. He didn't want to walk the walk. And that's why he's jacked it 4 weeks before. Not good at all.